In the dying light of a forgotten kingdom, the wind carried the scent of ashes and memory. The plains of Maasai Mara lay still, as if holding their breath beneath a blood-red sky. Once, these lands trembled beneath the roars of titans, but now, only whispers remained, whispers of a name, Notch, a dynasty forged in strength, bathed in dust and glory, now fading into legend. Their reign had ended. Their empire, buried beneath time and bone, but the blood of kings never vanishes. Beneath the soil, it burns, awaiting, boiling, calling. Somewhere in the shadows, 4 young lions stirred. They were not yet kings, but neither were they cubs. Their eyes burned with the memory of power they had never lived. Their hearts pounded with the fury of ancestors they had never met. They were the heirs of violence, the sons of the storm. As dawn broke across the acacia horizon, a new sound pierced the stillness. Not the cry of prey, not the song of the wind. It was a roar, deep, coarse, defiant, echoing like thunder reborn. The Savanna turned its gaze once more, and destiny turned with it. Because that roar was not a call of hunger. It was a declaration of war. No one knew their names yet. No one understood what was rising. But soon, the world would know them as the Requero Coalition, the cruelest brotherhood ever to rule the plains. Before there was fury, there was blood, ancient, powerful, unyielding. The Requero brothers were not born in glory. They were forged from it. Their lineage traced back to the great Notch coalition. 6 monarchs who once ruled the Mara like gods among mortals. Notch, Mighty Long, Bronze Caesar, Griage. Their names were carved into the bones of the earth. Under their reign, 11 prides flourished. The air was thick with roars, with dust, with dominance. Their cubs were countless and wild, spread across the land like seeds of fire scattered by the wind. And from that fire came 4. When Caesar, noble, fierce, revered, fell beneath the jaws of time, his sons were cast out. 3 young princes, fatherless, kingless, condemned to exile. The Savanna is merciless to those who wander without a kingdom. Each dawn was a trial, each night a promise to survive, but destiny had not abandoned them, because one day on the far edge of the plains they met another wanderer, a lion with their same fire in his veins. Her cousin, a shadow of the same bloodline. When their eyes met, something ancient awoke. Recognition, kinship, purpose. No words were needed, only a silent oath to rise again. The 4 stood together beneath the golden light, and the air trembled with the weight of what was coming. From that moment, they were no longer exiles. They were a brotherhood, and as the wind howled across the grasslands, the earth seemed to whisper a new name, one that would soon echo in fear across the Mara, the Requero Coalition. Their rise was not slow. It was a storm. Born in 2014, by 2017, at only 3 years old, they had already taken the throne. 4 prides fell beneath their claws in a single campaign. Sampuencare and Esikiria, Ilkisiu, Monico. Their conquest was swift, their dominance absolute. But what made them legends was not their power, it was their philosophy. They believed in strength, and only strength. Mercy was a weakness, pity a disease. When they conquered a new pride, they left no rivals alive, no young males, no threats, no future rebellion. The Requero hunted down every subadult, every potential heir to another bloodline, until the grass drank deep of silence. It was not survival. It was purification. Their reign had begun, and with it a new era of terror. Power changes all things, and for the Requero it became a religion. They were no longer just rulers of the Mara. They were judges of life itself. Their creed was simple. Only the strong deserve to live. At first, the Savanna whispered of their genius. Their hunts, flawless. Their coordination, perfect. They fought as one body, one soul, one will. But soon, admiration turned to fear, because their code of strength didn't stop at enemies. It turned inward. When the first litters were born beneath their rule, the plains rejoiced, new heirs to an empire of power. But the Requero had other plans. Each cub was inspected, smelled, measured by eyes that saw not love, but worth if a newborn was weak, small, or simply hesitant to move. Its fate was sealed by the jaws of its own father. The rangers called it population control. The biologists called it instinct, but they were wrong. It was something far more sinister. It was selection. A savage eugenics born of arrogance. The Requero believed their bloodline must remain pure, flawless, untouchable. Only the perfect would bear their name. Only the worthy would inherit their fire. And so, in the silence of the dens beneath the trembling breath of lionesses, the Requero forged a new law, a law of blood. Even among themselves, mercy was forbidden. If one brother faltered in battle, if his roar was slower, his strike weaker, the others turned against him. No forgiveness, no compassion. Their punishment was swift, brutal, and absolute. The lesson was carved into flesh. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and in the Requero Brotherhood, weakness was death. They became the embodiment of their own myth, unstoppable, fearless, inhuman. But power that burns too bright always draws the shadows closer, because even the fiercest lions cannot escape the oldest law of all. The balance. The Mara had watched many kings rise and fall, but none had tested the gods like these four. And soon, fate would come to collect its debt. Night fell heavy over the Mara. The air was thick with dust and the moon burned pale, like a watchful eye over restless kings. The Requero moved through the tall grass, four shadows stitched together by hunger and pride. They had conquered lions. They had conquered fear, but now they were about to challenge something older, something far more dangerous. At the edge of their empire, the Savanna met the world of men. Beyond the acacias, fires flickered, the smell of smoke, the faint bleating of goats. To the Requero, it was irresistible. The scent of easy prey, forbidden temptation. They did not crawl. They did not stalk. They advanced, like emperors entering conquered soil. The villagers had seen them before, golden eyes glinting in the darkness, moving like ghosts among the thorns. But this time was different. This time the kings had come too close. Fear spread through the human camp like fire in dry grass. And as the Requero broke the boundary, spears rose from the shadows. Two worlds collided, the primeval and the civilized. The beast and the tool. The night erupted in chaos, shouts, sparks, blood. The lions roared, charging through the storm of spears, their muscles coiled with rage, their eyes burning with disbelief. They had never known resistance, never known defeat. But that night the Savanna's gods met men who had nothing left to fear. Steel met flesh, fire met fur, and beneath a sky streaked with lightning, two of the four Requero fell. Their roars faded into the night wind, echoes swallowed by the earth. By dawn, the plains were silent. The surviving brothers stood on a distant ridge, their manes torn, their pride shattered. They could smell the blood, not of strangers, but of their own kin, the scent of mortality, of truth. For the first time, the Requero understood what it meant to be hunted. The invincible had fallen. The storm had broken itself against the world it thought it ruled. And from that day on, the Savanna would never speak their name without the echo of tragedy. Dawn bled slowly across the horizon. A crimson sun rose over the Mara, spilling its light across a land still trembling from the night before. The Requero were no longer four. They were two. Once they had moved like thunder. Now, they walked like shadows. Each step carried the weight of ghosts, the memory of brothers who had roared beside them and fallen beneath the spears of men. The Savanna watched in silence, as if mourning its own gods. They retreated deep into the heart of their territory, a realm they had once ruled with claws of iron and fire, but the earth no longer bent to their will. The herds avoided them. The lionesses no longer followed. Even the wind seemed to whisper against them. The empire of the Requero had cracked, and through those cracks, something new began to grow. Fear. They still hunted, still fought, still roared. But the world had changed. The plains were no longer theirs alone. New roars echoed across the horizon. The sound of another coalition, young and hungry, rising from the ashes of their chaos. They were called the F-Tree Lions, and their ambition was as fierce as their youth. The Requero were wounded kings, bleeding pride and power. And in the laws of the wild, The weak do not rule. When the two coalitions finally met, the earth itself seemed to tremble. Dust, roars, blood. The Requero fought like memories refusing to die. Their claws tore through the young challengers with desperate fury, but it wasn't enough. Time had caught them. Destiny had closed its jaws. When the storm cleared, the plains were quiet once more. The Requero were gone. No witnesses. No bodies, only silence and the legend. They had built their empire on blood, purity, and domination. But even the fiercest rulers cannot command the tide. The Mara forgets names but never forgets balance. And so, the story of the Requero became a whisper, a warning carved into the memory of the wind. Their legacy was not measured in territory or the number of prides they ruled. It was measured in what they taught, that strength without mercy is only another form of fragility, that power without soul is destined to devour itself. And when the sun sets over the golden grasslands, some say you can still hear it, a faint, distant roar carried by the wind, not of triumph, not of rage, but of remembrance. In the Mara, the earth forgets footprints, but never forgets stories.